The Mercy's Dawn moved slowly through the dark space of the Andromeda sector. It was not a warship. It had no weapons, no armor plating, and no military defense systems. The ship was white and clean, with a large red cross symbol painted on its side. Anyone who saw that symbol understood one thing. This was a hospital. This was a place of healing. Dr. Hyun Woo stood in the main operating room on level 3. His hands were steady as he worked on the patient before him. The patient was an old woman from a human colony. She had come to the Mercy's Dawn for heart surgery. Around Dr. Hyun Woo, machines beeped softly. The lights were bright and clean. Everything was exactly as it should be in a hospital. "Her heartbeat is stable," said Nurse Yoonji. She stood beside the doctor, watching the monitors. Yoonji was the head nurse of the Emergency Response Unit. She had worked on the Mercy's Dawn for 3 years. She knew every machine, every procedure, and every person on this ship. "Good," Dr. Hyunwoo said. "We should be finished in about 30 minutes. Down the hallway, Captain Mi-sun sat in the command center. She was the commander of the Mercy's Dawn. She had a gentle face but strong eyes. She had been in space for 20 years. She had seen many difficult things, but she always believed that her ship's job was simple: save lives. Captain Mi-sun looked at the screen in front of her. The Mercy's Dawn was in the neutral zone, far away from the war between the Varkians and the Krell Dominion. This war had been happening for 2 years. Both sides fought hard. Both sides wanted to win, but the hospital ship stayed in the middle, helping anyone who needed help. "All systems are normal," said the communications officer. "No alerts. Everything is quiet." Captain Mi-sun nodded. She knew that the quiet was good. It meant they could do their work. It meant families could come to the hospital. It meant babies could be born, sick children could be healed, and old people could have surgeries that made them live longer. In the maternity ward on level 2, a young woman named Ji-woo lay in a hospital bed. She was going to have a baby soon. This would be her first baby. She was not scared because the Mercy's Dawn was a good place. Dr. Hyun-woo had checked on her many times. The nurses had been kind. She believed everything would be okay. In the children's ward, many sick boys and girls were sleeping. Some had broken bones. Some had diseases that needed special medicine. Some were waiting for operations that would help them feel better. They slept quietly in their beds. The night lights on the walls glowed soft and blue. The Mercy's Dawn had 237 people on it. Most of them were patients. Some were families of patients. The rest were doctors, nurses, and workers who kept the hospital working. Far away from the Mercy's Dawn, Commander Keth was sitting in the command room of a Varkian warship. The Varkians were a tough species. They had strong bodies and hard faces. They believed in fighting. They believed in winning. Commander Keth looked at the scanner in front of him. The scanner showed all the ships moving through space. Then he saw something on the screen. There was a large white ship in the neutral zone. It was moving slowly. It was not like the Krell ships. It was not like the human ships that fought with the Varkians sometimes. "What is that?" Commander Keth asked. His voice was deep and angry. "It is a ship," said his officer. "A big one." "I can see it is a ship," Commander Keth said. "But what kind? Is it Krell?" The officer checked the information. "The symbol on the side, it looks like a medical symbol. But, sir, the ship is too big. It must be carrying weapons." Commander Keth stood up. He was tall and strong. His face was hard like stone. He believed that every ship could be an enemy. He believed that every ship in the neutral zone might be helping the Krell. He did not know about the hospital protocol. He did not know that hospitals were protected. He did not know that what he was about to do would change everything. "Move toward it," Commander Keith said. "Prepare weapons." The Varkian warship began to move. Its engines made the stars shake. Red lights turned on inside the ship. Soldiers got ready for battle. On the Mercy's Dawn, no one saw the danger coming. The communications officer checked the systems again. Still nothing. The ship was peaceful and quiet. Dr. Hyun-woo was still working on the old woman's heart. Yoon-ji watched the monitors carefully. Everything was normal. Captain Mi-sun was drinking tea in her office when the alarm started. The sound was loud. It made everyone jump. Red lights began to blink all around the ship. Alarms screamed through every room, every hallway, every ward. "This is not a drill," Captain Mi-sun said into the radio. "All staff to emergency positions." In the operating room, Dr. Hyun-woo heard the alarm. His hands did not shake. He had been trained for this. "Keep working," he told Yoon-ji. "We finish this surgery no matter what." In the maternity ward, the nurses moved quickly. They held the hands of scared pregnant women. They told them to be calm. Everything would be okay, they said. But then the ship shook. Something hit it. The lights went off for 1 second. They came back on, but they were dimmer now. The alarm got even louder. Another hit. The ship shook hard this time. Some equipment fell down. A monitor crashed to the floor. In the children's ward, the kids woke up. They were scared. They did not understand what was happening. "It is Krell!" someone yelled through the radio. "Krell attack!" But it was not Krell. It was Varkian. Commander Keth had ordered his ship to fire on the Mercy's Dawn. He did not care about the hospital protocol. He did not know about it. He thought it was a military ship. The first shots destroyed the power grid on the lower levels. The second shots hit the communication systems. The third shot broke through the wall of one medical ward. The air started to leave the ship through the hole. Dr. Hyun-woo heard the explosion. He was still operating on the old woman. "Take her to recovery," he told the nurses. "Now." But then the lights in the operating room went black. For 3 seconds, there was only darkness. Then the backup power came on. The lights were red and much dimmer. "We have emergency power only," the radio said. "I repeat, emergency power only. All non-essential systems are offline." Dr. Hyun-woo looked at his patient. The old woman's heart was still open. The surgery was not finished. Without full power, he could not use all the machines he needed. But he had to finish. If he did not finish, the woman would die. "Give me manual light," he told Yoon-ji, "and keep watching her vitals. We do this the old way." The nurse turned on hand lights. The old doctor's face became tight. He had not done this in 20 years. But he remembered, and his hands were still very steady. On all the other levels, the same thing was happening. Surgeries were stopped. Life support machines were running on emergency power. Patients who needed constant monitoring might not survive. Captain Mi-sun ran to the command center. Half the screens were black. Part of the wall had broken, but the ship was still flying. She was still alive. "Status report," she said. "Hull breaches in 3 sectors," said the officer. "Emergency bulkheads are holding. We lost main power. Backup generators are running. But, sir, the attack is continuing. They are coming around for another pass." Captain Mi-sun looked at the empty space where her ship was fighting an invisible enemy. She had made a choice a long time ago. She had promised that this hospital would save lives. She had promised that this ship would never be a weapon. But now, someone was trying to destroy her ship, and there was nothing she could do to stop them. The Mercy's Dawn had no weapons. The Mercy's Dawn had no shields. The Mercy's Dawn only had the faith that the universe would understand what it was, a place of healing, not fighting. But the universe did not always understand. The destruction was not quick. The Varkian ships came around again and again. Each time they fired more shots. The Mercy's Dawn could not fight back. The ship could only try to survive. Dr. Hyun-woo worked without stopping. His hands moved carefully inside the old woman's chest. Sweat ran down his face. The hand light from Yoon-ji shook a little because she was afraid. But the nurse did not leave. She stayed, and she helped. Finally, the surgery was finished. The old woman's heart was fixed. But she was sleeping from the drugs. She could not wake up and move to a safe place. Dr. Hyunwoo and Yoonji had to carry her themselves to the recovery room. In the hallway, the ship was damaged. The walls had holes in them. Water was leaking from broken pipes. The air was cold and thin. Every step was dangerous. "Keep moving," Dr. Hyunwoo said. His voice was calm, but his eyes showed the fear inside. The maternity ward was a nightmare. The emergency power was very weak. The machines that helped pregnant women were not working properly. One woman was in labor. Her baby was coming, but the machines that should have helped were dark. Dr. Yoon-hee was the woman doctor in charge of the maternity ward. She had delivered thousands of babies in her life. She had never seen anything like this. "We need full power," she told her nurses. "Send someone to check the backup generator." But the backup generator was failing. The emergency systems could only keep the most important equipment running. The choice had to be made. Some machines would work, others would not. In the children's ward, the doctors were making impossible choices too. One little girl named Min Ah was waiting for a special surgery. She had a condition in her blood. Without the surgery, she might not live another month. The surgery was supposed to happen tomorrow. The machines that would help with the surgery were now offline. A nurse tried to calm the children. She told them stories. She held their hands. But her eyes were red from tears. The attack lasted for 45 minutes. Then, as suddenly as it started, it stopped. The Varkian ships moved away. Their commander had accomplished his mission. He believed he had destroyed a Krell supply ship. He did not know what he had really done. The emergency systems on the Mercy's Dawn slowly stopped shaking. The ship was damaged but still flying. Captain Mi-sun made the radio call to Human Space Command. "This is the Mercy's Dawn," she said. Her voice was strong, but the words were heavy. "We have been attacked. Multiple hull breaches, power grid damaged. We are maintaining life support with emergency systems. Many patients are in critical condition. We need help. Send medical teams and repair crews. Please hurry." The message went out into space. It would take time to reach human command. Help could not come fast, but the message had been sent. Inside the hospital, the real disaster was just beginning. The first person to die was a man named Sung-ho. He had come to the Mercy's Dawn 3 weeks ago. He was waiting for a heart transplant. His old heart was very weak. The machine that kept him alive was supposed to run forever. But the machine lost power during the attack. When the backup power came on, the machine did not start again. For 5 minutes, the man had no power. 5 minutes was too long. The nurses tried to save him. They tried everything, but his heart could not restart. Sung-ho died in the dark, on a hospital bed, far from his family. Then a pregnant woman lost her baby. The baby was coming too early because of the fear and the shaking of the ship. The doctors tried to save the baby. They tried very hard, but without the special machines, the baby was too small, too weak. The baby did not survive. Then another woman, then a child, then an old man. The death count grew as the hours passed. Dr. Hyun-woo walked through the hallways of his hospital and saw death everywhere. People he could have saved, people he had tried to save, people who had hope when they came to his ship. In the command center, Captain Mi-sun received the damage reports. The numbers were bad, very bad. 37 children had been in special care, children with genetic diseases, children with conditions that needed constant machine help. When the power failed, even for a few minutes, many of them died. 42 adults were waiting for organ transplants. 14 of them did not survive without the machines that kept them alive. 17 pregnant women had lost their babies. 3 medical researchers were patients on the ship. They had been treating rare conditions. 2 of them died during the power failure. The total death count was rising. 110 people, 120. By the time the human fleet arrived, the number was 132. 132 people. All of them had come to the Mercy's Dawn hoping for life. All of them had believed they were safe. Admiral Dae Sung arrived with the repair fleet. He was a tall man with a hard face. He had seen war before. He had seen destruction before. But when he saw the Mercy's dawn, he became very quiet. The hospital ship was still flying, but it was broken. Holes in the side, dark sections, pieces of the ship floating in space. But the real shock came when he heard the casualty count. 132 dead? He asked Captain Mee's son. Yes, Admiral, she said. Her voice was like a ghost. And more are dying. We have done everything we can, but without full power, we cannot help them all. Admiral Dae Sung went to the medical bay. He saw the bodies. He saw the crying families. He saw the doctors and nurses who had been working without sleep, trying to save people and failing. Dr. Hyun-woo was sitting on the floor. He had just lost a patient, a young girl. She was only 9 years old. She had been waiting for surgery to fix a hole in her heart. The surgery had been planned for tomorrow. Tomorrow never came. The doctor's hands were shaking now. Even his strong hands were shaking. Admiral Dae Sung sat down beside him. You did everything you could, he said. I know, Dr. Hyun-woo said, but it was not enough. The Admiral went to see the children who had died. He saw their faces, young faces, faces that would never grow older. He saw the pregnant women who had lost their babies. He saw the tears. He saw the pain. He learned about the researchers, 2 scientists who had been working on important discoveries, medical breakthroughs that could have helped billions of people. Now that knowledge was gone. That hope was gone. The medical researcher, Dr. Ji-yoon, had been close to finding a cure for a plague that killed thousands every year. Her research was not finished. Now it might never be finished. Admiral Dae Sung made a decision. This attack would not go without response. But his response would not be military. It would be legal. It would be moral. He ordered his team to collect all the information, every patient record, every death, every person who could have been saved, everything. Back on the Varkian warship, Commander Keth received a message from his leaders. Good work, the message said. You have destroyed a Krell supply ship. You have hurt their ability to fight. You are promoted for your victory. Commander Keth was happy. He believed he had done something good. He believed he had helped his people win the war. He did not know that the ship he had destroyed was a hospital. He did not know that he had killed children. He did not know that he had destroyed hope. But he would learn. The galaxy would make sure that he learned. In a research center on the human colony world of Earth Station 7, Professor Ji-woo sat in a quiet room. She had received the reports about the attack on the Mercy's dawn. She had read the numbers, 132 dead. But numbers did not tell the real story. Professor Ji-woo was an expert in interstellar law. She understood rules and agreements between different species. She understood how different planets and governments worked together. She opened a very old file. It was about something that happened a long time ago. It was about human history. Before we went to space, she said to her team, we fought wars against ourselves. Humans fought humans. And it was very, very bad. Professor Ji-woo showed them images. They were old and dark. The images showed hospitals that had been bombed. They showed doctors trying to help people in the dark. They showed children and old people who had died because they had nowhere safe to go. This happened? Asked one of her young students. He was shocked and sad. Yes, Professor Ji-woo said. Many times. Different countries had wars, and they attacked hospitals because they knew it would hurt the other side. If you attack a hospital, you hurt the people who need help. You make your enemy weaker and sadder. She opened more files. In one war, a hospital was attacked. 1,000 people died. Most of them were women and children. They were not soldiers. They were not fighting. They were just sick or hurt. And they died because someone decided that hospitals were okay to attack. Professor Jiwoo's voice was very quiet and very sad. After this war ended, she continued, humans decided something. We said, never again. We said that hospitals must always be protected. We said that even in war, hospitals are sacred places. No army will attack them. No country will attack them. It is a line that must never be crossed. She looked at her team. And humans kept this promise. For hundreds of years, we kept this promise. Every human knows that attacking a hospital is the worst thing you can do. It is the thing we said we would never do again. One of the senior professors, Dr. Teo, stood up. He was a historian and a war expert. The Varkians, he said slowly, did not know this. They attacked the hospital ship because they did not understand human culture. They did not know that we had made this promise to ourselves. Professor Jiwoo nodded. Yes, and now we have to make the universe understand why this was not just an attack. It was a war crime. The team began working. They collected information about the interstellar medical protocol. This was an agreement that existed between many different species in the galaxy. The agreement said that hospital ships were always protected. No matter what was happening, hospital ships must never be attacked. Professor Jiwoo found something very important. The Varkian collective had agreed to this protocol 50 years ago. They had signed it. They had promised to follow it. But Commander Keth had not known about this promise. He had not known that his culture had already agreed to protect hospitals. This is strange, Professor Jiwoo said. The Varkians made the promise, but they did not teach their military about it. They did not make sure that their soldiers understood. And now, this ignorance has become a crime. Meanwhile, on the Mercy's dawn, a young journalist named Park Jae-won was interviewing survivors. He was recording their stories. He was learning what had really happened. He talked to a father who had lost his daughter. The girl was waiting for a surgery that would save her life. She did not get that surgery. He talked to a pregnant woman who had lost her baby. She held up a tiny piece of cloth. It was from the baby's room. It was all she had left. He talked to a nurse who had held the hand of a dying child. The child had been only 7 years old. She had asked the nurse if she would see her mother again. The nurse did not know what to say. Park Jae-won recorded everything. He recorded the pain. He recorded the loss. He recorded the anger. Then he went to see Dr. Hyun-woo. The doctor was in his office. He was looking at a list of names, the names of all the people who had died. Dr. Hyun-woo, Park Jae-won said, I want to tell the story of what happened. I want people to know what really happened here. Dr. Hyun-woo looked at the journalist. His eyes were very tired. Tell them, the doctor said, that we were not soldiers. We were not weapons. We were just people trying to help other people stay alive. And then someone destroyed that. They destroyed it because they did not understand. Park Jae-won nodded. I will tell them. I will make sure they understand. The story spread across human space. Every colony heard about the attack. Every station heard about the children who died. Every human heard about the promise their culture had made and how that promise had been broken. The response was powerful. Humans were not just angry, they were hurt. They felt that something sacred had been damaged. But humans did not immediately go to war. Instead, they did something different. Diplomat Su Jin was given a task. She was told to go to the Interstellar Criminal Court. She was told to bring the evidence of what had happened on the Mercy's dawn. Su Jin was a skilled diplomat. She was very smart, and she spoke many languages. She had helped solve difficult problems before, but this was different. This was about more than just a war crime. This was about human culture and human values. She collected all the evidence, the medical records, the death counts, the names of the dead, the researcher who was close to a cure, the children who would never grow up. She also brought something else. She brought the history of humanity. She brought the stories of the wars that humans had fought against themselves. She brought the knowledge that this promise to protect hospitals was not just a law. It was the foundation of human civilization. Su Jin did not bring weapons. She brought words. She brought truth. Admiral Dae Sung had made the decision. This would be humanity's response, not violence, but justice, not revenge, but responsibility. Commander Keth, on his Varkian warship, did not know what was coming. He did not know that he had triggered something much bigger than a military conflict. He did not know that he had broken a sacred law that extended across the entire galaxy. He would learn. But first, he would have to understand what he had done. The evidence was being gathered. The case was being built. The Interstellar Criminal Court was being called. And humanity, as a united people, was standing up and saying, "This is not acceptable. This cannot be ignored. This is a line that should never be crossed, and you have crossed it." The war between the Varkians and the Krell was not over, but something else was beginning. Something that would change the entire galaxy. The Interstellar Criminal Court was held in a place that was neutral. It was not on a human world. It was not on a Varkian world. It was in the middle of space, on a station that belonged to no one and to everyone. The courtroom was huge. There were seats for judges from many different species. There were tables for the people bringing the case and for the people being accused. Diplomat Su Jin walked into the courtroom. She carried the evidence. She carried the truth. Her back was straight and her head was high. She was not afraid. She was ready to speak for the dead. On the other side of the courtroom sat General Vornak. He was the leader of the Varkian military. He was not as aggressive as Commander Keth. He was older and he had seen more things, but he did not believe that his people had done anything wrong. The judge was named Meridian. She was from a species called the Trandosians. She was very smart and she did not favor any side. She looked at both Su Jin and General Vornak. Then she said the words that began the trial. "We are here to decide," Meridian said, "if a war crime has been committed. The humans say that the Varkians attacked a protected hospital ship. The Varkians say that they attacked a military target. Let us hear the truth." Su Jin stood up. She began to speak. She told the court about the Mercy's Dawn. She told them it was a hospital. She told them about the symbol on the side of the ship, the Red Cross, the symbol that meant healing, not war. She told them about the patients, the old woman getting heart surgery, the pregnant woman waiting for her baby, the children with diseases, the researchers trying to save lives. Then she told them about what happened. The Varkian ships came. They attacked. The power went out. People died. Su Jin showed the medical records. She showed the names. 132 names, 132 people who were alive before the attack and dead after. The court was very quiet. Then Su Jin said something that made everyone listen even more carefully. "The Varkian Collective," she said, "signed the Interstellar Medical Protocol 50 years ago. This protocol says that hospital ships are always protected. No matter what war is happening, hospital ships must never be attacked. The Varkians agreed to this. They promised to follow this law." General Vornak stood up. "Your Honor," he said, "we did sign this protocol. That is true, but our military commander did not know about it. He thought the ship was a military target." "Did not know?" Su Jin said loudly. "How can your military commander not know about a law that your people promised to follow? This is not an excuse. This is a failure of your culture to teach your people what they promised." The judge held up her hand. "Quiet, please. We will hear from the people on the Mercy's Dawn now." Dr. Hyun-woo was brought into the courtroom. He was nervous, but his voice was strong. "I was performing surgery," he said. "I was trying to save a woman's life. The attack happened. The power went out. I had to finish the surgery using only hand lights. Then I had to go to other patients. I saw people dying that I could have saved. I saw children die that I could have saved. I saw babies who were never born that could have been born." The doctor's voice did not shake, but his hands did. He held them together to make them still. "I did not fight back. Dr. Hyunwoo said. "I did not attack anyone. I did not have weapons. I only tried to save lives. And my patients died." Nurse Yoon-ji testified, too. She told the court about holding the hand of a dying child. She told the court about the power failing. She told the court about working in the dark, trying to save people, and failing. Park Jae-won, the journalist, played recordings of the survivors. The people of the galaxy heard the crying. They heard the pain. They heard the truth. Then Professor Ji-woo came to the courtroom. She had a presentation about human history. She showed the old images of hospitals that had been bombed. She showed the death counts from the ancient wars. "Before we went to space," Professor Ji-woo said, "humans destroyed hospitals in war. We did this many times. It was a weapon we used, and it killed millions of people, women, children, old people, people who were not soldiers, people who were just sick or hurt." She looked at the court. "After these terrible wars, humans made a promise. We said that we would never do this again. We said that hospitals would be protected places. Even in war, hospitals would be sacred. We have kept this promise for hundreds of years. We have never broken it." Professor Ji-woo showed more images. Images of human history. Images of the pain that humans had caused to themselves. "We know what it is like when hospitals are attacked," she said. "We know the pain. We know the loss. And we said we would never let it happen again. Not to us. Not to anyone. This is not just a law for humans. This is a law for all species who claim to be civilized." The Varkians in the courtroom did not look happy. General Vornak's face was very hard, but then something unexpected happened. General Vornak stood up. He did not say that the humans were wrong. He did not defend what Commander Keth had done. Instead, he said something different. "Your Honor," he said, "I do not understand human culture. I did not grow up learning about this promise. But I understand now. The humans are right. A hospital is a sacred place. We have broken a sacred law, whether we knew it or not. This is a crime. I accept this." The courtroom was silent. No one expected this. General Vornak continued. "Commander Keth acted out of ignorance, not out of evil. But ignorance does not excuse the crime. The Varkian collective must take responsibility. We must accept punishment." Judge Meridian looked at General Vornak. She was surprised. In many trials, the accused side fought and fought. But this general was accepting responsibility. He was admitting the crime. "The verdict is clear," Judge Meridian said. "The Varkians have attacked a protected hospital ship. This is a war crime under the Interstellar Medical Protocol. Commander Keth is guilty. The Varkian collective is guilty. They must face punishment." She listed the punishments. The Varkians had to pay money to help the families of the dead. The Varkians had to accept new military protocols. They had to teach all their soldiers about the hospital protection law. They had to make sure this would never happen again. But there was more. General Vornak had made an offer. He offered that Commander Keth would not spend his life in prison. Instead, he would be given a chance to learn. He would work with the humans. He would learn about human culture. He would understand what he had done. Judge Meridian accepted this offer. "This is unusual," she said, "but perhaps understanding is more valuable than revenge. Perhaps Commander Keth can become an example to his people. Perhaps he can teach them what it means to respect hospital sanctity." As Dr. Hyunwoo left the courtroom, he felt many things. He felt some relief that justice had been done. But he also felt sad. Justice could not bring back the dead. Justice could not give the children their lives back. Justice could not finish the researchers' cure. But it was something. It was the galaxy saying, "This matters. This is wrong. This must change." Outside the courtroom, hundreds of species had gathered. They had heard the trial. They had heard about human history. They had heard about the promise to protect hospitals. And they were thinking. They were thinking about their own cultures. They were thinking about their own wars. They were thinking about whether they, too, should make this promise. The trial had revealed something important. Humanity's commitment to hospital protection was not just a law, it was an example. And now the whole galaxy was watching to see what would happen next. Commander Keth arrived at a human medical facility on a space station. He was alone. He had no guards, but he was not free to leave. This was his punishment. This was where he would learn. Captain Minho was in charge of the program. He was a human military officer, but his mission now was not to fight. His mission was to teach, to help an enemy understand what his people believed in. "Welcome," Captain Minho said. He did not sound angry. He sounded calm and patient. "You will work here. You will see what hospitals do. You will see what you destroyed." Keth looked around. He was not comfortable. He was a soldier. He was used to weapons and fighting. But here, there were only medicine and healing. "I do not understand," Keth said. "Why am I here? Why do you not just put me in prison?" "Because," Captain Minho said, "we want you to understand. If we just lock you away, you learn nothing. Your people learn nothing. But if you really see what you have done, maybe you can teach your people. Maybe you can help them understand too." Captain Minho gave Keth a job. He had to clean the hospital. He had to help the nurses. He had to see the patients. On the first day, Keth saw a little girl. She had broken bones. Her mother sat beside her bed. The mother was crying. "My daughter," the mother said to Keth, "was hurt in a different attack. Not your attack, but another one. The hospital saved her. If the hospital had been destroyed, she would be dead, just like the children who died on your target." Keth did not know what to say. A Varkian liaison named HFY was assigned to help Keth. HFY was also Varkian, but she was different. She had lived with humans. She understood human culture. She spoke many languages. "Come," HFY said. "I will show you something." She took Keth to a memorial. It was a wall with names on it, the names of all the people who had died on the Mercy's dawn. Keth looked at the names, 132 of them. "These were people," HFY said. "Not soldiers, not weapons. People, children, researchers, doctors, nurses, pregnant women, old people. All of them dead because a military leader did not understand what a hospital is." Keth read the names. Many of them were children. He saw their ages: 3 years old, 7 years old, 14 years old. Something in Keth's chest became very painful. He did not understand this feeling. He had killed in war before, but he had not thought about it like this. He had not seen the names. He had not seen the faces. Days passed. Keth worked in the hospital. He helped move patients. He helped clean rooms. He helped the doctors and nurses. One day, a new patient came. Her name was Min Hee. She was 8 years old. She was going to have surgery to fix her spine. The girl looked at Keth. She was not afraid of his Varkian appearance. She was just a child. "Are you the one?" she asked. "Are you the one from the bad ship? The one that hurt people?" Keth did not know what to say. "My sister was on that ship," Min Hee said. "She was waiting for surgery. She did not get it. She died. The doctors told me she was very brave. But she is still dead." The girl looked at Keth. There was no anger in her eyes, just sadness. "I am sorry," Keth said. These words felt very weak, but they were all he had. "The doctor said," Min Hee continued, "that some people do bad things because they do not understand. They said maybe you will understand now. They said maybe you will help other people understand. They said maybe my sister will not have died for nothing." The girl closed her eyes. She was tired. Keth stood beside her bed. He did not move. He could not move. That night, Keth talked to HFY. "I do not understand how to be responsible for this," Keth said. His voice was very quiet. How can I be responsible for so many deaths? How can I live with this knowledge? You cannot, HFY said. That is the point. You are not supposed to feel good anymore. You are supposed to feel the weight of what you have done. And then you are supposed to use that weight. You are supposed to carry it back to your people. You are supposed to tell them that this weight exists, that this pain exists. HFY looked at the Varkian commander. Your people do not understand human culture. You do not understand why hospitals matter so much. But humans understand because they have lived through the pain of destroyed hospitals. They have done it to themselves, and they have decided it must never happen again. Weeks passed, months passed. Keth began to change, not completely, but slowly. He began to understand something very deep. He began to understand that there was a difference between being strong and being cruel. There was a difference between winning a battle and destroying hope. Dr. Hyunwoo visited the facility one day. He did not have to come. He did not have to face Keth, but he came. I wanted to see you, Dr. Hyunwoo said. I wanted to understand if you really understand. Keth looked at the doctor. He remembered this man. This man had been performing surgery when the ship was attacked. This man had tried to save lives. I have read about the children, Keth said slowly. I have read their names. I have read what they could have become, what they would have been. And? Dr. Hyunwoo asked. And I have realized, Keth said, that I destroyed more than people. I destroyed futures. I destroyed possibilities. A child becomes a doctor becomes a researcher saves millions of lives, but that child never got to become a doctor. So those millions of lives were never saved. I destroyed hope. Dr. Hyunwoo nodded. He said nothing for a moment. Then he said, Good. You are beginning to understand. Now, you must help your people understand, too. Meanwhile, in the Varkian military, something was happening. General Vornak was changing his people's training. He was making sure every Varkian soldier knew about the hospital protocol. He was making sure every soldier understood that hospitals are sacred. He also did something else. He invited historians and scientists from many species to teach the Varkians about their cultures. He wanted his people to understand that different species had different values. That honor did not always mean victory. That wisdom sometimes meant accepting other people's rules. When Keth was finally released from the rehabilitation program, he was different. He was still a Varkian warrior. But he understood something he had not understood before. He understood that civilization was measured not by weapons, but by how you protected the weakest and most vulnerable. Keth made a speech to his military. He told them about the hospital. He told them about the children who died. He told them about Min-hee and her sister. He told them that he had caused all of this. I was ignorant, Keth said. But ignorance is not an excuse. It is a responsibility. We are responsible for understanding the worlds we live in. We are responsible for understanding the laws we have signed. I have learned this the hard way. I hope you will learn it the easy way. By listening, by accepting that some things are more sacred than war. The Varkian soldiers listened. Some of them were angry. Some of them did not believe Keth, but many of them understood. They began to see their former commander differently. They began to see him as someone who had made a terrible mistake and who had learned from it. In the galaxy, a new feeling was growing. Different species began to look at the hospital protocol differently. They began to see it not as a human law, but as a universal law, a law that transcended wars and conflicts. And they began to ask themselves, what else have we accepted that we should not accept? What other lines should never be crossed? The story of the Mercy's dawn was spreading, the story of the attack, the story of the trial, the story of the rehabilitation, the story of understanding, and it was changing the galaxy. Slowly but surely, it was changing.